The number one excuse that entrepreneurs make for not starting a business is they don't have resources. They don't have money, they don't know how to code, they don't have a network and the right people, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna show you how you'd start a tech startup like Uber, a fast food business like Chipotle, or a clothing company like Patagonia and more. You ready? Let's dive in. If you're new here, my name is Noah Kagan and I'm the founder of AppSumo.com. If you're an entrepreneur or side hustler or you wanna be one, I wanna help you, so subscribe to the channel below. So how would I start a tech company like Uber? Now this is where it gets interesting because a lot of y'all are maybe not programmers, or you're not from Silicon Valley, or you don't have the bunch of money and resources to get it going. So a lot of times you have to actually go backwards and say, well, what's the problem I'm solving and what's the most simplest way I can actually see if people will give me money for this business? And this one is a really great thing to try that for. So what is Uber at the end of the day? It is a taxi company. I know, they're tech and they've got a platform and they all this shit, but at the end of the day, Noah wants to go here, you send the car, and they bring them over. Sounds like a taxi. So, what do you think you would do to be able to validate and see if this is a business that you could actually get going and maybe technology will help you scale? I think that's a problem that a lot of people do is they put the technology before the problem and the customers. From there, once you know that that's something people actually really want, then finding a developer or going on Upwork or Fiverr or Freelancer or asking friends to build this stuff is frankly really trivial. But what's really interesting about Uber is you don't even need to do that. You could literally just ask your friends, text me whenever you need a ride and I will get you a driver within the next 10 minutes. And all you have to do is now that you can build up this list of people that know that they can get rides from you, you start recruiting drivers. So you can post on Craigslist and Gigs. You can post on the Facebook Marketplace. Now, have you noticed I still haven't built any tech? I'm just manually solving the problem that people really want. And at some point, I'm not gonna be able to do texting to be able to coordinate rides. So that is when technology can actually start solving and scaling that problem. How would I start a fast food restaurant like Chipotle? A lot of the times in these business ideas, we have to take a step back. What's the problem that I'm solving that's just not out there today? And when Chipotle came out, it's like super fast, high quality Mexican food. And I know, I think there's a lot of other good quality Mexican food out there, but specifically in the mainstream, there was not. So how do you actually validate that as a business idea? Especially if you're like me, like I'm a microwaver, I'm not a great chef. So I would combine it in two ways. Number one, go find your favorite chef. So think about the restaurants or even in your own network. And so I would go to Uchi or Taco Deli or Loro, and I would ask any of the different chefs there, just ask them, hey, do you ever do catering? I'd love for you to cater something at my house. So find someone that you know can cook well and ask them to cater. And then you'll tell them what you want them to cook, which is gonna be healthy Mexican food. Now, step two is go to your friend and say, hey, on Saturday night, I'm gonna be trying out this new business concept. It's gonna be called Chipotle. And I want you to, for $10, buy fast food Mexican bowls. What's a restaurant? It's people eating food in a space, just like Chipotle. Now, if you can get that going, I would actually try to see how many more times you can keep that going until you can't really do it at your house anymore and you wanna actually start a location. That's how I would start it on the cheap. Now, the one other thing I think is really important about the Chipotle example is your unit economics. So one of the reasons that Chipotle works out well is that it's super high quality ingredients, which can be expensive, and they do a super high turnover, meaning a lot of people are coming in through Chipotle all the time. So you do want to do a model about how much chicken would it cost, how much are tortillas, how much is rice, how much is beans, and then how many people and at what price do I need to sell to make this business work? And I would definitely make sure I understood that before I really try to scale out that business. So this one is no way I can start this for less than $100. How would you start Oura Ring? So this is the sleep tracker. You guys have probably seen a bunch of like hipsters and YouTubers wearing it. I really like the company. I wear it almost every single night. I've done it for the past few years. How would you start this for less than $100? What does this solve? What it simply did in the beginning was just track your sleep. So hear me out, and I know it's crazy, is that if you wanted to track people's sleep, what's the simplest way to do it? You could just watch them sleep. And I know that's creepy. You could put cameras on people's sleep. I'm sure that's a little weird. And say, hey, I'm gonna record you sleeping and I'm gonna track how long you're doing it manually and I'm gonna make some observations for you about how you're sleeping and I think it'll help you sleep better. That's how a monthly service could actually happen and people would actually pay you for that. And over time, as you're doing it via a camera, you're like, maybe there's a better way. Maybe I can put a mat that actually tracks how you sleep. Or maybe there's something in sound that I can actually hear how you sleep. Or maybe there's a physical device I can put on you that would track your blood pressure and you would learn how to sleep. But as you're hearing me talk about these different ideas, it's like, well, what's the problem I'm actually solving and what's the fastest way I can do to see if people actually want it? One of the most fascinating things about Oura Ring that I think is really missed out on, and I really want to highlight specifically in this category, is think about how big the markets are for these businesses. So let me ask you, do you sleep? Yes. And what all these business ideas that we kind of talked about today, there are gigantic opportunities. Eating, everyone does. Being entertained, everyone does. Clothing, everyone wears. I think that's a really important takeaway as you're trying to do these different business ideas is Think about how many people actually can be impacted by it, and that's probably something that you can be working on and know that you're gonna have a big opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur or if you wanna become one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We put out exclusive content just for subscribers, and we do office hours to answer a lot of your questions and insane giveaways, yes, for all our subscribers. Gave away my Tesla last year. Make sure to subscribe below. So how would you start a tequila brand like Patron? Now, before I dive into that, how would you start it yourself? Maybe you would fly to Mexico, maybe you call George Clooney, you go on the streets, be like, hey, do you know how to do agave? And then you burn it and you put it in a bottle and we have tequila, right? Let's just say I go out there, I get this great tequila, I make it. How do I actually get anyone to buy it? That's actually always gonna be the hard part no matter what business we're gonna be starting. Once you actually know that you have customers, figuring out how to actually start it is really, really trivial. So for Patron, I would actually think right now, what is it in the tequila market that's missing? A lot of times when people are doing businesses, they're creating problems that no one wants. They're creating problems that no one has. So in tequila, are you gonna go with the super cheapest? Are you gonna go for a combination? Maybe flavored tequila, just like Deep Eddies did. Not a bad idea. Now the question is, can I go and see if any of my friends will actually buy this? But I think people jump to making the product, spending 6 or 12 months spending money, investing in it, getting a website, domain, all these things, and then they're looking around for customers and it's crickets time. So for Patron, let's just assume I'm gonna be doing spicy tequila or flavored tequila. So I would text any of my friends, hey, do you like drinking tequila? Tequila, dun, 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 dun. And I would see, hey, I am making this flavored tequila. It's probably gonna be around $30 a bottle if that's something you're interested in. If I could get 3 people to buy it from me, pay with Venmo, PayPal, cash, whatever it is, now I know I have the customers. Actually making tequila is pretty trivial. You think George Clooney's in the fields making tequila? I made coconut wine actually a year ago. I went online and I just looked up wine sommeliers. So here is my homemade coconut wine. It's like moonshine. Let's get a whiff. How did I actually go about making this? First off, I went on YouTube. You could actually go on YouTube right now and Google how to make tequila. So if you wanna make a high-end tequila, literally there's people for free showing you how to do it. That is how I made coconut wine V1. Now after I made it V1, it tasted like toilet water with a little bit of sugar and alcohol, which was pretty damn cool. But the second thing I did was, there's other people who've already figured this out, maybe in a different area. How can I learn from them? So I Googled wine sommeliers, and I just found a bunch of different wine sommeliers, specifically in Napa Valley. It's one of the best known regions in the States. And I contacted a lot of them, and I said, hey, I'm making coconut wine. Can you walk me through how to make this type of wine? I'll pay you $100. And that's what I did. And so he walked me through the process, and I said, hey, do you mind if I follow up with you? And over the next few months, I followed up, and finally, I think this is V4, and it tastes pretty damn good. Another example I just wanted to show you was Shirley wine. So I actually invested in this. This was created by Justin Mayers and friends out of the Kettle. They created Kettle and Fire. Now what's interesting about this is Justin Mayers does not know herbiculture. Justin Mayers has never made wine before. Justin Mayers lives in Austin, Texas. Like, we're not known for wine out here. We're known for country, Texas, and guns. So what he did is he did the same thing as where he hit up all these wineries in Napa, pitched his idea, experimented with a sommelier guy out there, finally found one that worked, and then they started selling it. They're doing really, really well. I invested $10,000 in the company. The other thing that's really interesting is that as you guys are starting any of these companies, especially on the super cheap, you realize that you should be documenting your journey. Make a YouTube, make a podcast, do a TikTok, whatever it is, because that's actually how you can build the business. So when you finally have your product ready, you have a customer base that'd be excited to buy your thing. How would you start a social media platform like TikTok? So this is one of the things, how would you start it? Because it's like, well, I think they solve entertainment, but there's an algorithm. But no, I'm not a coder. We definitely need a coder for this one, right? Wrong. So what's really interesting to think about TikTok, I'm not a huge TikToker, but what is TikTok really solving? It's solving entertainment. It's saying, hey, can I show you something entertaining that you might learn from or you might just enjoy? And so one way to think about this is it's really just sending your friends GIFs or videos that are really short and entertaining. So think about this. Could you actually get 10 of your friends and send them 1 GIF a day and say, hey, tell me if you like this or not? And each day they just say, yeah, they like it or they don't like it. And each day you kind of keep calibrating based on what they like. And keep trying to expand the amount of friends that you're texting to see if they actually like the entertainment you're sending them. What does that sound like? It sounds like what TikTok does, but just they do it every 60 seconds. You don't need to build an algorithm to actually go and find high quality content. I would probably even go cheat and look on Reddit. There's a bunch of subreddits for entertainment and find ones that are highly rated. You know that people already like it. And now just start building up your audience of friends or people that are interested and say, hey, I wanna send you 1 funny thing a day. I think you're gonna enjoy it. Another way you can start TikTok is through an email list. So you can go to sendfox.com and literally every single day just send 1 piece of entertainment. And you could see how your open rates and your click rates look. And if it's something that each day people are opening and opening and opening your entertaining emails, now it's thinking, oh, maybe I want to actually create a platform where people can actually get customized based on their interests. So creating the actual software and the algorithm stuff, frankly, That's kind of the trivial part. Making sure it's something that people really want and you doing it in a really simple way to validate it, that's the hard part. I have a Patagonia jacket here. This is an official sumo jacket, limited edition. How would you actually get it made? Now, what's fascinating about the Patagonia story, if you read the founder's book, was that they wanted rock climbing clothing and there was nothing good available. Now, what's really fascinating about how their story was is that they took material from other departments and other types of categories and actually custom fit it so that they could have their own clothing. So there's two key things in starting the Patagonia clothes company. Number one, solve a problem that's not happening right now. And number two, how can you steal from other industries and bring it into your space? Now, I would look at that in the cycling space. I'm a huge cyclist. And so what is it in cycling that's actually missing? And what can I borrow from other industries and actually bring that in? So specifically for cycling, the jerseys are ugly. I don't know if you've seen cyclists out there. I'm always like, loser. So what I would think about is how can I make stylish cycling clothes? A lot of these manufacturers, you can actually just call them up. So there's a company called Giordana that's a manufacturer of cycling, and they will help you design the clothing. We've actually been able to do that with our sumo gear. Again, the thing to think about is what is not being served in a specific market. So like Gymshark, for example, there's been gym clothes for a while, Under Armour, Nike, Reebok, but they noticed specifically like there's these YouTuber young millennial gym rats that wanna have sexy asses, and you can use a specific way of marketing, which is YouTube, to actually grow that business. So again, I think one of the things that I'm noticing as I talk about starting these different companies is what is the unique problem that you're solving that's not available in the market that you can have an easier access to get going? I'm getting way too hot in here. Now, as we're looking at another business, let's just take Quest Nutrition Bars. So Jeremy, our producer, used to work with Tom Bilyeu. He is a friend of mine. I love Tom Bilyeu, and I love Quest Nutrition Bars. I'm like, damn, I'm really tempted to eat this. Now, the question is, how could you start this company for really cheap? And what's interesting about this company is they actually started for really cheap. So if you wanted to start any type of like protein bar, nutrition bar, drinks, beverages, a lot of these things are really great home-baked concepts. All the Metro Mex bars and the gym bars that were out there had okay nutrients, but they tasted like garbage. And they were thinking, maybe we can make something better. Now, what a lot of people would think, well, Noah, I'm not a scientist, I am not a doctor, I am not a nutritionist. Tom and his wife bake these in their kitchen. The other thing to consider is that if you know that there's demand and you validate it, there's so many companies out there called a co-packer or companies who actually do a lot of beta products. It's really interesting. So what does that mean is that they go to a place and they actually say, hey, here's probably what we want to be doing. Can you make this for us? I know it feels like telling that Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy aren't real, but that's how a lot of these things get made. Now, what I'm trying to discourage you from is going and doing all that on a business that you don't know that people want. So I think the simplest answer with a lot of these kind of companies is cook it at home. If you like this video and you want to hear more how to use growth hacking to get a bunch of users, check out this video where I reveal how I growth hacked Mint.com to 1 million users in 6 months. It's a damn good video. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. I love you, and I'll see you out there. Pew, pew.